Welcome back, Video Heads, to the podcast that if you marry us, will bring you the most out of this world hot dog trays you've ever seen. Because gays excel at that, apparently.
Yeah. You just had to start with that, didn't you? Oh, man. Anyway, my name is Tommy.
I'm Kyle.
And yes, welcome back to Video Head Cleaner. For this episode, we're going to talk about Weapons, it's a recent film. It's about, March now. It's now streaming, which is a good time to check out Weapons again if you missed it the first time when it was coming around.
They streamed on HBO Max. It came out last October on that, and they dropped the notification for that at 2:17 a.m. because that's a big old number that factors in this movie many times.
Nice one. So. Yeah. Yeah.
Take that, right. Viral marketing.
So another reason why I'm very interested in talking about this film is that I was just like, apparently I'm surrounded by people, everyone I know just loved this film, and I didn't dislike it. It was okay.
You were whelmed?
I was whelmed. Wasn't overwhelmed. Wasn't underwhelmed either. I was whelmed. Medium whelmed. You know, and maybe some things about it were giving me quibbles. I don't know. I just little nagging complaints. I don't know. But like everyone else was just so enthusiastic about this film, and I'm just left wondering, like, what did I miss? Like, I just missed this bandwagon, kind of. I don't know. Help me out, Kyle.
Which I'm interested to dive into with you because, yes, it's. I think it's a really good movie, and it pays homage to like Pulp Fiction, among other sort of films in the way, where it has like a bit of the narrative here, and there's a little crossover, and more of the narrative, and it's kind of like a good version of Arrested Development season 4 in that way too. Of like, so right. I don't know, and it's interesting. Like the more I learned and dug into this film, Zach Cregger, he's not like a new director because he directed stuff like a movie called Miss March in the mid 2000s.
Barbarian.
Oh, well, Barbarian is what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Barbarian's probably his first major like hit the main stage where people actually know who he was thing, because I mean, I know him from Whitest Kids You Know, which
sketch comedy show,
a delightful sketch comedy show where I watched him walk around carrying a gallon of PCP, or being a director in a sketch where he would tell people like, all right, I liked your performance, but do it happier and with your mouth more open. So it's interesting seeing him and Jordan Peele, both sketch comedy like roots, getting into horror movies and doing a really good job of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of this is like when this is happening again, like you mentioned, like someone coming at all this from a sketch comedy background and going into a weird, surreal horror thriller space, like Jordan Peele, all right? But also, you mentioned Barbarians. Great film. Maybe we should even do an episode about that.
Oh, my gosh, we should. I wasn't sure if you'd seen that one, because a lot of people hadn't.
Yeah, love it. Honestly, the reason why I was so interested in Weapons when it was released, right? I love Barbarians, and so I was very interested in seeing the follow-up from this director. And I got to admit, kind of like with Jordan Peele, I loved Get Out. That film was really cool. A great film. And so I was really, really looking forward to the follow-up, and kind of like that. I just I'm left scratching my head like, what did I miss? I loved the first film, and now by the same writer director, I'm just kind of left with a head scratching moment. Like, did I miss something, or was there just something not there, and I caught that? Right. I don't know.
It's interesting. It is very different from Barbarian, but yeah, I mean, I have similar thoughts about Us. Us was the follow up on that one.
Yeah. Where it just. Get Out would seem like fully realized, very coherent, very like just tight film. Story-wise, directorial-wise, just the way it felt, the way it just landed, everything about it, just, real tight, real good. And then Us, I didn't dislike it. I'm just, I don't know.
It had interesting things to say, but the story in Us did fall apart if you, like, focused on it for even a moment.
I just was kind of like with Weapons. I just left wondering, was it just unrealized, or I don't know. And so it kind of like with Us, maybe we should do an episode about that too. I don't know. Like with Weapons, I've been thinking about it ever since I watched it, and now watching it again now that it's been streaming, just I don't know. I don't know if I've changed my mind. So I'm wondering if you can.
We shall see, I suppose.
Okay.
We've rambled a good bit, I suppose, on this, but just to touch base back on what we actually would say on this. This is a movie podcast. We're two or more homosexuals, just two this time. We tend to bring more in occasionally.
We round up other homosexuals whenever we can.
We make them talk about movies occasionally. But we talk about film, and this is going to be a full spoiler thing. And so if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know why you're here, but stay if you want. You're just going to learn about pretty much the whole movie.
Yeah,
so
it's just painfully in-depth spoilers. Just be warned.
Yeah, you'll learn a lot about hot dog trays and about. I mean, this movie's a tale of disappearance, mystery, intrigue, and the things you can do if people just let them have your hair. Just stop being weird and let me have some of your hair. So
that's the main takeaway, folks. Guard your hair. All right, let's dive right in, shall we?
All right, so we kind of open on the sounds of children playing and like a thumping heartbeat that sets like a tone for this movie. But the narration device of this is like a very, I don't know, somber little girl that doesn't seem to have been part of the story. She's like part of the town that has this little legend passed down, maybe the past decade or so. It seems like.
I guess. Yeah, I was trying to figure out: is the narrator a little girl, a little boy? I couldn't exactly tell. It read to me as little boy, maybe. I honestly was wondering.
This little girl, her name escapes me, but I tried to find out how young she was because it sounds like it's just a real small child. You can mix up boy and girl like quite a bit on that.
Sure. I also, just as we'll discover, trying to peg this to one of the characters in the film. Is this the voice of one of these characters? Is this the voice of a primary character that we're about to meet? I don't know. Anyway,
It's not. I have a really funny story though at the end as to like why this narration, this little girl's in here to a degree, but she sets it up well because we're treated to her narration starting off with, "This is a true story. It happened right here in my town 2 years ago." And a lot of people die in really weird ways in this story, but you're not going to find it in the news or anywhere like that because the police and people in this town were so embarrassed they couldn't solve it. They covered it up. But if you ask anyone in my town, they'll tell you the same thing. And then we're taken to Maybrook Elementary School as the narration continues, and we're introduced to a teacher who's new here, Justine Gandy. We may call her Justine, we may call her Miss Gandy throughout in this, but she's played by Julia Garner of Ozark fame.
Yeah.
She's in for a surprise when she enters the classroom as none of her 18 students are there.
Unfortunately, nothing like the Ozark character who would have just given off a loud, lusty fuck or something like that. Just, oh well.
There's decent uses of fuck in this movie that I'm excited to cover at some point too.
But it's a strange scene. We have this teacher, Miss Gandy, Justine, walking into her class, and there is none of her students are there. And the way that the camera kind of follows her in, there is, in fact, one lone student, and we don't see him until a while when the camera finally kind of moves out from behind Justine, like just this hidden child there, but only one. It's a very surreal moment. Like it should be, as we find out, 18 students, and she walks into one student.
Right, and her face just falls. Like she's walking into work happy, and then it's just like, "Hello, oh my God! Like, what is this?"
Definitely just kind of immediately disturbing moment. Well presented. It conveys a very disturbing impression very quick.
And I think this is the thing that got people to see the movie is that Weapons, like for all of its advertising, really didn't have much in the trailer given away. It was just like, what if there was this thing where everyone in elementary school class disappeared, but like one kid?
Sure.
And like, where do you go from there? And that's where we start to pick up on this.
It opens like it's going to be a school tragedy drama. It's just as far as like the impression it gives at the beginning, right? That this is about some tragedy that happened in a classroom, like a school shooting, for example, or something. We're not really sure what, but it kind of sets it up like that, But yeah, anyway, the narration continues, and we find out that this is actually a very bizarre mystery because that very morning, at a very specific time, 2:17 a.m., every other kid in this classroom gets out of bed, runs downstairs, opens the door, runs into the night, not only runs, but Naruto style runs.
They sure do.
Into the night.
Arms out in a V, A-frame situation. Like,
yeah.
It's a detail that feels unnatural and adds a sort of eerie quality to this. Because if they were just running normally, I'd be like, okay, like, neat. But it's unnatural looking, for sure.
Not sure if it's supposed to be playful or what's going on. But yeah, arms out. They look like almost like a dart. Like they're like a kid dart running down the street, or running wherever they're running, but at high speed with like intent, like just very like forceful, fast running.
It's a very zombie-like run, and this first bit is set to "Beware of the Darkness" by George Harrison from his 1970 album, and it has an interesting quality to it. It's like an ethereal bit.
I was, wondering about the lyrics. Let's see. Do you have that song up?
No, I don't have the necessary lyrics for it, but it just was an interesting bit to set that to. And so while you look that up, like one of the intriguing things about this is so many horror movies are set in like the 80s or set in places where like there aren't cell phones, there aren't a lot of things. But this one, it's modern day. And so there are Ring cameras. And so half the families did capture their kids like on camera just going off into the night. And it's just spooky to just see your kid and to even think of the possibility of like, I have this tiny like irrational person that lives in my house and just take off at any moment. Like,
so the lyrics are like especially the second verse. Watch out now, take care, beware the thoughts that linger winding up inside your head. In the dead of night, beware of sadness. So we get some very dark, melancholy imagery with this very surreal scene opening up. So it's nice. Yeah, I'm feeling good about the film still. This isn't where I started wondering like what I'm missing. It's like okay, I'm liking it. I'm
and
liking
good for George Harrison, a lesser Beatle, frankly.
Exactly. And after the bit of the song and this image of the kids running into the night, we get the title, Weapons, with the Owen Weapons has a triangle in it.
Yeah. It's I think that ties back to like an Alcoholics Anonymous thing in this, because there is a good bit of like alcohol woven through the story, and I believe, I guess go into it early. The director like says he kind of ended up like leaving like one of the kids in the story where he was on his own a bit because he had a parent with addiction and with alcohol stuff. And so it's certainly part of it. This was almost like a freeform writing project for him, because one of the things that happened to precipitate this was one of his castmates and co-directors on previous movies and projects from Whitest Kid You Know, Trevor Moore. He died in sort of a sudden accident. He like fell off a second-story balcony and just hit his head the right way and just died. And so he started writing Weapons just freeform, really. Didn't know where it was going to a degree, which may be some of the reason you're like, oh, this may not have been like a complete story. He figured out like midway what happens to these kids, but I'll cover a bit of that more later. But this is, I mentioned the ring cams. So part of the reason they know that this happened at 2:17 a.m. is because half of the houses had like alarms or ring cameras where they could just see it. All the police putting this together were like, oh, this all happened at the same time. And like, these were all kids from one class. And so they obviously, the two characters we've met so far, are going to be highly questioned. Miss Gandy there, and then Alex himself. They're like, hey, so why are you here? Then I guess, or like, what did you do in this? What was your part of this odd disappearance? So
they are brought in for questioning, and the part about the ring camera, I just wanted to say is that we're getting introduced into kind of like a surreal horror kind of setup, but we have all this technological surveillance, which is always an element I like, is when a horror story is put into the modern times and encounters technology, right? There's no trying to skip the fact that there are cameras everywhere, right? So how do you have a horror story in broad daylight, essentially, right? With everything being surveilled and watched, right? It kind of, can you have a horror without any mystery or space for it, right? And so I'm already kind of liking this, right? I like the idea of this just happening with being recorded by cameras, right? I like horror stories dealing with that. how do you still have mystery even in the midst of that?
It's rare, like I said.
That.
I mean, I can't pick out a lot of them that do it in the modern day and age and such. So it is.
Yeah.
It's unique. I like it for sure. But they question both of these people, and I mean, Miss Gandy, being the only adult in charge of these adorable little flight risks, gets grilled and such, and is like, "What did you do?" Or like, "What did you teach in class?" or such. And Alex gets asked things like, "Were there any TV shows you watched where people said this? Were there any plans made with your little 9-year-old friends of like, we should all just pull a goof on our parents and leave it to 17 a.m.
and Naruto into the night?"
Yeah, and he's like, "No, I mean, nobody told me if so, I guess." But
wouldn't that suck too if like all your friends decided to Naruto themselves like into the night forever, and they were just like, let's leave him out.
Right. Fuck Alex.
Like talk about some survivor guilt or like embarrassment. Like, geez. Anyway, yeah.
Nobody invited me to the suicide party.
Yeah, aren't I cool enough? Oh.
But they end up closing the school for a while just because, I mean, this is a big deal. But the little adorable narrator girl is like, but they had to open it back up so that the other kids could learn again. And you're like, I guess, I mean, that's how it works. It's
very precocious.
You can only keep, I mean, schools closed for so long and stuff. And much like that, this is like, it's opening back up. But obviously there's still parents feeling a lot of things. And this is not, this is kind of set like a month after. We learn at one point, there's a bit of timeline jumping here and there between the stories, but it's about a month after. And so this is not within the first 48 hours where people have a lot of hope or they're like, they'll come back.
There's been a lot of grieving that has already happened. You got parents who are already just tired and broken and just, about a month has passed. And so enough time for things to be trying to get back to normal, So again, it still kind of has this, is this after a school shooting kind of tragedy or whatnot, right? It's still kind of set up where it might be that kind of narrative, Yeah. So again, I like that too. Like, kind of maybe presenting one kind of narrative and then sneaking another one on you. Sure. That was kind of like Barbarians. Not to give away a spoiler. A lot of movies are like this, and Barbarians has a great twist. We won't talk about that.
We have to do that movie at some point. Yeah, I've only ever seen it the once, and I was just blown away over it. But yes,
this is crazy.
So they have like a sort of PTA meeting the night before they're going to reopen the school, though, and it's just they have counselors there because they know people are probably going to be a bit emotional, just to like put a little, I don't know, downplay that if anything. And sure enough, I mean, there's some angry parents there. They're shouting. There's all sorts of things. But this is where they're airing their concerns out. And this is where Narration Child tells us this is where the story really starts. And then she kind of pulls back for a while. We don't really hear from her through a bunch of the movie. But as this meeting begins, we're treated to our first title card of a character name.
Yeah.
And I reference this as sort of like Pulp Fiction. It very much is, because it goes character by character, and you're going to see crossovers with other characters from time to time that start to get more frequent as time goes on to like really tie it together. But it is interesting, one by one characters sort of, they're part of the story that I really liked about it.
Yeah. So we get some strong POV in this movie, right? It's not just kind of a general POV of the movie, right? We are we're tagging along with the character. We're getting the full perspective from their position, right? So
often, quite literally, the camera work in this is pretty wild, and that like it's either POV or there's a lot of tracking shots from behind, some from the front. It's
As we'll see, there are a number of shots where you have a character still in the center with the world changing around them. Or like you just mentioned, tracking them from behind or in front, or there's a lot of strong POV camera work too, for sure. But yeah, so we find after this title, Justine, it's a town hall style meeting at a school gymnasium, right? Or was it like an auditorium and gymnasium?
I don't know, auditorium, yes.
Set up a bunch of chairs. All the parents are there, and it's a tense, rowdy meeting. An administrator, maybe like a principal or vice principal, is talking about grief and whatnot, and the parents are just not having it. And in particular, one very rowdy father.
Yeah, he talks about how it's okay to feel emotions other than sadness, especially anger as it's natural. And this guy feels real natural.
Yeah. Anger is very natural for him, as we're discovering.
And he kind of like tweaks, I guess, them further by saying like it's especially normal to feel anger in instances of abandonment. And that's when the dad stands up and is like, oh, was it abandonment? Like it's something that doesn't make any sense at all, and it's just
like he's reacting as I think any parent probably would to a well-meaning but utterly botched attempt.
Because he also turns it on Justine here, our character of the moment, and says like, I mean, this is the common denominator. What happened in that classroom for all these children to disappear? Why did none of the other third graders disappear? Like not a one from another class.
Yeah. This angry father, by the way, is Josh Brolin, so we get a sense that this would be a primary character. I don't think he's been named yet.
No, he hasn't. So.
But Josh Brolin, so main character.
Down as Father Brolin, for the moment.
Daddy Brolin, yeah, exactly.
But he took the naturally being angry bit to heart and says he doesn't want to hear any more out of this counselor, but he does want to hear from Justine, Miss Gandy herself, as to what went on in that classroom. So
we from our perspective in the audience, we haven't seen anything weird about this teacher, and the parents, as we can imagine. They have seen, they know nothing. They have this horrible tragedy. It's already been a month at least, right? An entire town's trying to move on, and what are they supposed to do, right? So there's only one other person other than the other kid in the class, and it's this poor hapless teacher.
Right. You could either blame a 9-year-old or you could blame this woman, and so I mean, a lot of people are going to really default to that one.
Well, I mean, so it's only natural. The one adult left in the midst of all these missing kids. It's natural to assume that they would at least know something or saw something, and so when they have no answers, you have a bunch of very angry, sad, and suspicious parents, and the leader of them kind of is Josh Brolin, Daddy Brolin. And Justine, Julia Garner's character, she goes up front to the podium microphone and is trying to speak to them, but again, they're not having it.
No, and she's kind of terrified, it seems, and a bit at a loss as to how she can explain something she presumably knows nothing about to a distraught and angry group of parents. And so she tries to, but even as she says she wants an answer just as bad as they do and that she loves these kids, she's shouted at as a liar and a bitch and like, tell me what's going on and stuff. And so... traumatic for her, because she does love these kids and had nothing to do with it. Then she's just trying to figure stuff out too for her, and
it's easy to feel bad for Julia Garner, a small, petite actress, and so any moment when there are a bunch of angry adults in a gymnasium getting riled up and just her alone. It's a striking image, It's like it's easy to feel how you can only imagine what a situation for a teacher. Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? Like, what are you supposed to think? Like, how are you supposed to feel about this? Like, of course, bad, but like,
because it didn't happen on her watch necessarily. Like, I mean, what could she have done to make this happen at 2:17 a.m.? But she's being yelled at, and this is where we first meet Marcus, the school principal, played by Benedict Wong, who steps in to basically say, "Stop that shit" on the microphone, and then we're treated to him in security escorting Justine to her car as like a trail of angry parents is sort of following them there.
Yeah, he intervenes when the crowd is getting rowdy. They're still not having it, so they usher her out speedily with the angry crowd hot on their heels. They get her to her car. The administrator who's talking earlier advises that you should probably go home for your own safety. And of course, she goes to the liquor store, which I think we all would. In this case, honestly, everything that's happened so far feels pretty natural. If I was a teacher in this situation, fuck yeah, I'd go to the liquor store. I'm not going to go home first.
Yeah. He tells her to sort of go straight home, but she goes to the liquor store. Yeah. We get one of those tracking shots where it follows her like weaving through the aisles to her liquor of choice.
Yeah.
In the back, where she not only picks up one bottle, and then thinks about it and grabs two. It's like, you know what?
On her way in, she's asked for change by a punk on the curb outside the door. Gives a story about, can I have some spare change? I'm trying to buy a bus ticket to see my brother, and just kind of rattles it off real quick as she's trying to bolt past him. Also, on her way out, says the exact same thing, this well-rehearsed line. Oh, hey, do you have any spare change? I'm trying to get a bus ticket to go see my brother, just without seemingly aware that he already said it to her. Just kind of a funny little moment.
Yeah. Our little...
hustling by rote.
Our little skinny ne'er-do-well that we'll find more out about later. Yeah, this is one of those things where, especially in a second watch, you can see a lot of these things where you're really thinking about it or what's happening. This scene in particular catches two things where it's sort of interspersed with other people's story. But aside from that, she's inside and she gets a phone call from somebody and just hears like heavy breathing on the line.
Yeah.
And she's like, hello. And then I guess the person, I don't know, works up the courage to say what they're saying because the woman says on the phone, you better watch your back because the night's the night that I... And then Justine hangs up the phone. She's like, oh, I don't want to hear that. I don't need to know what the sentence ends.
Yeah. So things are shitty for poor Justine, for sure. She gets her booze. She's making her way back to her car. There's a truck in the parking lot with the lights on, so she gets the feeling that oh crap, is there someone else like after me? After this menacing phone call and the town hall meeting. So she bolts to her car, drives back, and we see her very very quickly just kind of almost running to her front door when she gets out of her car with her liquor and is like glancing at people walking down the sidewalk and is nervous about everything and everyone and gets inside and quickly looking out her window blinds at passerbys and just scanning her surroundings and is just, a panicked creature. But again, who wouldn't be in this situation?
And she's in the tank, as I've heard a recent Shark Tank fan talk about it. Watching Shark Tank as she's in there, always in the tank. Yeah, but I ended up writing this next sentence to describe what's happening in somewhat of a Princess Carolyn, BoJack Horseman sense. As our harangued heroine is halfway through healing herself with a heady hooch hit, though, the doorbell rings.
Wow, nice.
It kind of came out naturally, actually.
Really abusing those H's there.
Yeah, she's kind of making her liquor there of choice, and then the doorbell rings. And obviously, given the night she's had, she's very tense about this. It's a very tense moment for the audience. We've seen people wish harm upon her and even directly threaten her not minutes ago. But further, she looks outside and finds nobody. And so she looks outside the door, outside the windows, like, who the fuck, what's going on? And then as she's walking back, she's like, okay, fine. They must have just left. There's pounding on the door, which is a nice, tense sort of moment as well.
It was a good a doorbell, a check, no one's there, and then followed up by a kind of angry knocking on the door. And at this point, she's just screaming like, who the hell is it? She goes for mace, it looks like. A small cylinder of mace.
She's going to blind a trifling motherfucker.
Yeah. She's had it. So she runs out into the night to confront whoever just prank knocked her door and finds no one, but does find that her car has been vandalized. Someone with red paint has painted witch on the side of her car. Just does not stop getting crappy for poor Justine.
No, it's been a bad month.
It's been a hard month for
Miss
sure.
Gandy here, and she kind of tries to no avail to get it off. We see in the morning, but it's on there, and so she's driving around town at times trying to be like, just sort of undercover. And it's like, I don't know how you can when you're just branded at this point, too. But
yeah.
But it gets worse because she drives her witchmobile to school only to be told she's essentially being furloughed, not fired,
she's being placed on administrative leave.
Yeah.
The school does not feel that her presence there is good. It's the parents think that she's a witch or worse, and the one lone student that she had has already been integrated into another classroom. She also is very insistent on speaking directly with Alex, and the principal is not enthusiastic about this. Probably part of the reason why she's going on administrative leave is just to keep everyone away from each other as needed. But the principal seems like a well-meaning guy, first trying to protect poor Justine and now trying to protect her again and maybe people from her, who knows. But it's Yeah, she's gone on administrative leave.
He represents a lot of structure in the way of like childcare or various things are, or just like appropriateness, because he talks about the things she's done that like where she oversteps professional boundaries and goes into personal, and applies this to her wanting to talk to Alex. And he brings up things like one time she hugged a student and she's like, I was a crying little boy, like what do you want out of this? And one time she drove a student home because she happened to live close. And she didn't have a ride or something. And he's like, those were inappropriate. And you can totally see that from his perspective, or from a like very detached administrator perspective. Yeah. But also as a human, you could see Miss Gandy's perspective in those things as well. And so it places a bit of like a tiny bit of aspersion on her of like, oh, you overstep bounds essentially. But also it just seems like she's human. And so, they're very flawed characters in this movie to a degree, but in a natural way, I'd say. Like, there's nothing. I don't know. They're very interesting characters. They're not just squeaky clean. They're not sanitized to a point. Everybody seems to have their flaws that we pick up in a character perspective.
Yeah, no one has yet acted in a way that doesn't seem well-meaning. You know, even Daddy Brolin being incensed and at his kind of breaking point with all this makes sense. I'm liking the film still to this point.
We're going to tell you the exact moment where Tommy drops out on this. It seems he's got it in his notes, I imagine. But so she has nothing to do with the school. She takes off, but as she's leaving, she does spy Alex walking out while she's sitting in her car, and just sort of just notes it. And Alex is such a tiny little boy. He's such a teensy little guy that I believe this movie got halted around 2023 for like the strikes and stuff. And they had a character cast for Alex, but he had a big growth spurt. Yeah. And so they fired that kid. They said, you're too tall now. We need a tiny little boy, I guess. Because Alex is just a tiny little thing. Like his backpack just almost like is too big for him, it seems like. Yeah. And so, I mean, she wants, again, in what we've just seen, the best for her kids and whatever, and probably just wants to talk to this tiny, vulnerable little boy and is like, are you okay? As far as we know. And so she takes off and ends up at a police station to file a report about the big old witch on the side of her car.
Yeah. But, like we were saying, like she seems to be well-meaning, even if, you know, maybe gave a kid a ride home or whatnot, and very much wants to speak with Alex, and with a line that really explains it. But we're the only ones left, and she's looking for answers too. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know what's happened, and her life has been ruined by this, and so the only other person who could possibly know anything is Alex, as far as she's aware. But again, it's. As we can immediately understand too, it's not appropriate. I mean, this is, you know, a kid's life his life has been turned upside down too. You know, so it's just But so we find her filing a police report. Police are looking at her car, checking it out. She sees another cop in the distance. Waves to him.
Give him a little wave.
Little wave.
And she's getting a speech from the one cop many people in their life have received, where it's like, I hate that this happened to you. We're not going to solve this crime. We can't solve this. We really don't care. Like, not a big deal. And he's kind of trying to like tell her vaguely helpful things, but also like, it's just like, well, see you later. Like, anytime anybody's reported like small theft or robbery or any sort of stuff, even people I know have had their cars stolen, the cops are like, that sucks. Yeah. So, like,
file a report if you want. Yeah, basically.
Because he's like, it's probably just kids or something. I don't know what we can do about this. But yeah, she sees what.
I guess she didn't have any kind of doorbell cam or whatnot. There's an uneven disbursement of doorbell cameras.
Right. Well, she's a teacher living in a nice house, buying 2 bottles of vodka. She can't spend money on everything, Tommy.
I was going to say, you got to make choices. That's
not a budget.
Yeah, that's very true. Especially on a teacher's salary. But yeah, we find her later at a bar having a drink, and in walks the cop that she saw in the distance, and they approach each other, and it seems like there's kind of a familiarity between them.
Yes,
especially the way that he asks, "Can we hug?" As in like they know each other.
Yeah,
And,
is it appropriate, or like this isn't like a creepy uncle like give me a hug. It was kind of like are we in a place where we hug now?
Yeah, exactly. Like they're not on chapter 1. Like they're a backstory perhaps. His hand looks injured. He writes it off as a stupid work accident. Yeah, as is common in films, any element introduced is probably relevant. So, who knows? We'll just note that for later.
Put a pin in that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they act like they're old acquaintances. She offers to buy him a drink. He orders just a Coke, notably not anything alcoholic, and she seems kind of like cattily off-put.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right, then.
Yeah.
We kind of learn bit by bit what their relationship is, and Justine sort of pushes him to drink. And he's like, no, and he says he's concerned about her, but he's also glad to have gotten her text. And we find out this mustachioed man has a name, and it is Paul. And so Paul encourages her to stop drinking and seems genuinely concerned for her and her situation. And is like, I totally get this has been a hard time for you. This isn't going to solve things. I know it won't solve this. Yeah, it's like, keep doing this. And Justine sort of bristles at this, at being like told what to do, and barbs him a little by asking if Adana knows that he's here, though, which we would assume, is his lover, partner, whatever in this situation. And Paul says no, but also that he and Donna aren't really happening right now. And so Justine encourages again to have a drink, just one drink. And when he says she's not with her, or he says he's not with Donna anymore, she kind of like beams. He literally says like, look at you, you're beaming right now. So I get the vibe she does not like Donna. Would seem.
I think he says that he doesn't exactly say they're not together, but just that they're. I forget how he words it.
It's the line. We're not happening right now.
Yeah, it implies they're in a rough spot, but that they're not separated. And she is definitely delighted by this, maybe reading something into it, maybe a bit of wishful thinking just, in the moment. But, before that, a really great line that might be a little foreshadowing. He's talking about her just being paranoid about in light of everything that's happened, and says, the whole town isn't aimed at you. To which she responds, I think you might actually be wrong about that, which, little foreshadowing. We'll note that for later. But we've seen little kids running down the street like they're human darts. So
there's certainly weapon phrasing here and there, or a giant sky weapon or things we'll cover in this. But Justine pushes him again to have one more drink, and then we do something this film does a lot also, where it just jumps right to the next scene. It doesn't feel concerned with ending a scene in a certain way, and so as he's like, okay, like one drink essentially, and we wake with him. We find in the morning they are in Justine's bedroom where she's playing the old "Gotta Get Up" song for him, and we see him in her bed, and so at the least he slept over at her house and presumably had more than one drink with her, and at the most probably fucked.
Presumably banged. Yeah, we can assume the way that she is kind of coyly looking at him, having already gotten out of bed, and he's like awaking to a startle. We can assume that they had a romp for sure, but he clearly overslept and now has to either go to work or whatever. But got to do the walk of shame.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, it's pretty clear they're like exes or old friends with benefits or something, in the sense that may not have clicked as actual long-term whatever, but they've definitely fucked before, it would seem. It leads back to the, can I hug you? Is it all right as we're doing? But it's as she's kind of driving Paul back to his car at the bar, it would seem, and she drives Paul there, and we start to see her ask about the investigation and about how work is going, and Paul says work is like normal and whatever, which irks Justine, the lady, just in the crosshairs of these people, and says, wow, I really hope that's not the vibe over there in your place, that it's just whatever when 17 children have disappeared.
Her life has been turned upside down. She's understandably interested in the case. Also, it's just kind of nagging about like, what are you doing today? What are you doing today? Just like kind of being just kind of coy and playful with him too, but then is also kind of needling him about the case too. Just she's a mess. And
she's way more chipper and like awake than him because he's very much hungover still and is just not happy about the situation.
Yeah, she's kind of manic and he's very melancholy and hungover. It's it's a great duo.
And Paul assures that the police are on it. He kind of gets mad. He's like, okay, stop bothering me about this. Like, I'm not a detective, actually. I don't know if you know that, but like, leave the investigating to the investigators.
Yeah. So he's feeling put upon. Poor guy.
And as he tries to, he exits the car and is like, hey, it was great to see you. And she says, you too, with a smile. And then right as the door slams and he walks off, she goes, suck my dick.
Yeah, he seems actually genuinely pleased with the moment that he's had with her. She, who knows? Maybe yes, maybe no. But she's a firecracker. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we now find her back at the school. And apparently is scoping out Alex.
This is one of those moments I mentioned where it's like, oh, you think you're being sneaky? Woman with a huge witch on the side of your car? Like, maybe normally you would just with a silver sedan be like...
I was kind of wondering that. Like, did no one notice? Like, wouldn't there be a crowd? Like, people pointing?
Hey.
Like, yeah.
It seems like Justine over there. Like, 'cause she does, like, she's sort of, like, surreptitiously following Alex or, like, keeping tabs on him and does essentially follow him home from school. Doing the thing she was explicitly told not to do, by the way.
For good reason. It makes total sense. Now she's kind of stalking this poor kid. So she's at the school, sees Alex get on a school bus, and then is following that school bus. And then we see Alex walking, we can guess after getting off the bus, and her about like 20 paces behind, kind of hanging back, being nondescript, and just tracking him. And he eventually makes his way to his what we guess is his house. Mm-hmm. And it's notable that it looks abandoned. Like the lawn is not mowed. There are multiple newspapers on the driveway, implying that nobody is there to pick them up. Just something's off, right? It just even from the street, it looks like nobody's there. Right.
Yeah, and she goes up. She doesn't confront Alex himself like before he gets in the house, but she does go up and ring the doorbell, expecting to perhaps find Alex's parents and to maybe talk to him and say, hey, can I talk to Alex? But nobody answers at all, and this prompts her not to leave, but to look around the house. And as she sees and finds, there are newspapers covering the windows.
Yeah,
which is weird, right? Like, I mean, that's not a normal thing to happen.
Like, is this a drug house or something? Like, what's going on? Like, is it like his parents cooking meth or something inside? There are any number of things you can assume when, especially the windows are papered over. But something's definitely off, right? And so she's peeking through the window. There's like a crack in the newspaper plastering, and she is looking around inside. It looks just unoccupied, unattended to, and then she catches a glimpse of what look like two figures on a couch, like two adults on a couch, and she sees it, startled, kind of jumps back, collects herself, and then takes another look, and there's just something off. Like
they haven't moved. Like she clattered a whole like snow shovel trash can thing behind her when she jumped back because they were motionless adult silhouettes, and they haven't moved an inch since she did that. You would think somebody would like get up and be like, "What was that? What's outside my window?"
Yeah,
or whatever.
It looks like two adults. You kind of vaguely see that they might be a man and a woman. The woman's hair is real ragged, like there's just, even from the quick look you get at them, there again something off, just like the house, like just unkempt, unattended to, even their persons, their bodies, or there's just something weird, and and they don't move, they don't respond. So are they dead? Are they on drugs? Like what? Like
Yeah, and really so, we cut to Justine in her car right after this. Again, the siege, it's over at that point where she's talking to Marcus, the principal, who is clearly incensed that Justine did not follow his wishes to stay far away from Alex, and is like, you did what? Like, I'm sorry, like, what are we talking about?
You did the exact opposite. You stalked the boy to his home, and then it was peering through the window. Yeah. So she's in the midst of crossing in a number of professional lines here.
But she does point out she technically didn't interact with Alex, and as Futurama taught us, being technically correct is the best kind of correct.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That's very true.
So, not DeMarcus, though, it isn't.
Yeah.
Further reiterates, is like, leave this child alone. And then he says he'll do the courtesy of forgetting this phone call that took place, essentially. It's like, because I like you. Like,
oh, geez. Yeah. He's the best school principal you could hope for, really. Mm-hmm. As a teacher and as a student. There, exactly. But yeah, so she ends the call and then arrives at the liquor store. Yeah. Enters the liquor store, and we see almost immediately there's someone following her. Like there's a kind of a figure in the background, out of focus, so we can't really tell what's going on, but we keep seeing her kind of in the background appearing.
This is the same tracking shot we got from behind before, but now it's from the front. And so we, the viewer, can see over her shoulder and that she's being chased by this woman, sort of.
Kind of like she was tracking Alex. Now she's being tracked.
Yeah. And we know that many people feel probably good to harm her if they had the option right now. And so we're like, but Justine doesn't see it. It's one of these many times the viewer has more information than the character on screen on this movie.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. But this is done to show, this woman coming up eventually behind her and grabbing her by the back of the hair and throwing her to the ground. Because this is Donna.
Yeah. This is a tall woman in red, and is just in a rage immediately. Throws Justine to the ground. Grabs a bottle of liquor and is wielding it like a club in her face, like she's about to strike Justine with it at any moment, and is accusing her of things like you fucked him, and just it's just getting crazier by the second. Justine claims to not know. Like I thought you two weren't together. Like he said you two weren't together, and just pisses her off even more.
And she says they didn't fuck, and Donna's mad too, saying like, you got him drunk and stuff. Donna, I guess, decides not to whack her with a bottle, but just opens it and then just starts like flinging it at her,
just
like
pouring
getting
it all over
wet. Whipping it at Justine as she's screaming over and over, look at what you did. Look at what you did. And so we certainly get the sense that Paul was at least stretching the truth a little, being like, we're not really on right now. We're on a break. But doesn't seem that way.
Oh, Justine. Just definitely feeling bad. This seems like one moment in Justine's life, and it's just like one long day that just goes from bad to worse. And still wondering, like, what is this movie about? And is this just the life sucks for Justine story? I don't know.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I mean, this is such a layered story. This first layer is like, what are we doing here? Sort of to a degree, a thing. That scene's over because the liquor store owner sort of comes over and is like, Miss, don't do that, like to Donna. And then it jumps to Justine, who is busying herself, again, drinking herself to sleep. And we see her at school at night. And it's not immediately apparent that this is a dream, but it quickly becomes apparent. Because she goes into her classroom and finds all 18 of her students face down on her desks until Alex's head pops up in the back with very Joker-like makeup and smiling at her as she's startled awake.
Yeah, it's a nice scene, and I like how they actually introduce the idea that she's dreaming. Like you see her in bed, and then just cuts to her at school, and then it kind of cuts back to her in bed, and then you kind of get a sense like her in the dream for a moment kind of realizes, wait, this is dream time, just kind of this almost like a moment of like, oh wait, I'm in the school. Yeah, just kind of a look on her face, like, is she aware that she's in a dream? Is it kind of like a waking dream? I don't know. I kind of like the way they kind of introduced the dream narrative. Again, there are a lot of things I like about this film. It just we'll get to my quibbles later.
Yeah, they have a very darkened dream state across the two characters. We get dreams for in this movie too.
Yeah, and as we'll find, this structure of dream is going to happen a second time, right? And this first time, we find her almost like having a waking dream. Is it prophetic? I don't know. It seems to be like portentous and like meaningful and somehow, but like she walks very slowly into the classroom. It's at night instead of the day. It seems very like a heavy scene, and all the kids are there with their heads on the desk, like they're sleeping or something. Again, it's odd. Like why would all the kids just be there at night sleeping on their desk? And only one kid raises his head, and it's Alex. And like you mentioned, like he's got like makeup on, or it's like white face paint with like red lipstick smear. It's not clear if it's like a clown face or if it's like blood. I don't know. It's very creepy.
It's very creepy, and it startles her awake.
Yeah.
And was she awoken by this dream, or was she awoken by something else? Because we then hear noises around the house.
Yeah.
And as she's been having, ding dong ditchers and people painting her car and threatening her, she's like on edge, and as is the audience at this point. But she kind of like hears it quiet down, and then as she lays down to go back to bed, she lays on her back, and on the ceiling is this terrifying clown woman up there. And you're like, oh my God, is this like a dream within a dream or whatever? And we don't really get an answer to that. But yeah, there is a terrifying clown woman on her ceiling.
And then she wakes up for reals this time. And yes, it was a nightmare within a nightmare. Yeah, they got you. They got the audience. Psych. No, she was still asleep. And there's whatever the hell it is that's on the ceiling. You only get to see it for a moment. It kind of reads as maybe human like, but it's definitely that face that Alex had in the nightmare. It's that on what seems to be a woman, but it's not even really clear. But yeah. Startles her to real awakeness this time. Yeah.
Yeah, so we wake up with her in the morning, and she then is actually stalking Alex, and she's waiting for him on the route home, because now she knows his route home, and she wants to talk to him on this. And she manages to get him, and she's like, are you okay? Like, I mean, I'm not. Like, it seems like you wouldn't be, essentially. And Alex like, I'm okay. But she presses on, trying to empathize with him to be, adults, or like really sort of try to connect on this. But Alex pushes past her, saying, I have to go. And then if she's like, hey, hang on, buddy, like, let's talk. He turns around and goes, don't follow me. And then just runs off into the house, into the darkness of his door there.
Yeah. And so, the kid is understandably traumatized. We get a sense that there's still something going on with him. It's been a month and change, right? And he's a young kid who's gone through this utterly surreal moment. So, yeah, we can perhaps conclude that he's traumatized and he just doesn't want to. He can't deal with this. So
yeah, but Justine didn't like that shit. And being told not to follow him or whatever, that this didn't go at all the way she thought it would.
Yeah,
and so she goes up and bangs on the door of the house afterwards, trying to get access to Alex's parents, but. After that fails, she kind of stakes out the house, and we see her like in the daytime facing over there, and then at nighttime. And we eventually see in the nighttime she is falling asleep outside in her car, and we get one of the creepiest things to happen in this whole movie, because the camera pans over from her to Alex's house, and we see the door slowly open as if nobody has opened it, where it's just pure darkness in the doorway.
Yeah, and the camera's clearly zoomed in from a lot of distance. And so it makes it even more kind of like disorienting and alienating. It's something that's way off in the distance that you can see and is approaching you. And so it just naturally has a kind of quality of like a dreamscape, just kind of a natural nightmare quality to it, just by way of camera work.
And we see a silhouette come into the door, and it's terrifying because it is a very unnaturally moving person. It's a woman with the crazy hair up and about, and she's like toddling, or like a doll almost. Like someone's like playing with a doll and walking it. If you can imagine like an action figure that you have in your hand, and you're just like walking its legs on the floor, and it's like awkwardly moving its arms in response to its rigid body. That's kind of how she's walking. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like it's unnerving, and she is wielding something in her hand, and in the light, it looks sharp, like it's something, and then we start seeing that it's scissors that she's wielding, and just this entire scene, like if you just saw this standing on the street, you just see this awkward shambling woman with like rigid like legs and arms shambling towards the car, wielding scissors wildly in the air. It's just it's quite an image, for sure. And it's happening kind of silently, too, which makes it even more unnerving.
Yeah, because this is at night, night. It's very dark out. Justine's asleep. And so it gives you, the viewer, a very big sense of alarm of like, oh, no, Justine. Oh, wait, you're in danger, girl.
You're in danger. Exactly, right.
But this woman makes her way to Justine's like window and sort of just like pauses there. And so we get a moment of this terrifying woman just standing there. But then she sort of Tuttle sidesteps off the screen and out of frame, and this is the moment that got the biggest reaction in theaters when I watched this movie, is that she's out of frame for a second, and then we hear the click of the back door open, and so this terrifying woman is getting into the car behind her, and everyone's like, ah, ah, ah! Oh no. And then we see the scissors sort of make their way up slowly, because the woman's never really in shot here at this point. And this terrifying scissors bit moves up to Justine's head, and we're like, what is going to happen here? Is she going to stab her in the neck? But all she does is get a little snip, get a little lock of hair there, and then just take that. Get out of there.
She's asleep. She sleeps through this like the entire time. She's very vulnerable in this moment. And so, you're just naturally assuming she's going to get killed. She's just totally going to get killed. I don't know why she wasn't just killed at this moment. Like as we get to the end of this film, we're gonna wonder like, why wasn't she just like, I don't know.
I could hazard a guess at that. Yeah, I mean, we can hold that off for later or anything.
The hair's a very elaborate setup.
She may have also been sleeping soundly because she had like a big gulp type thing, and it looks like she may have mixed like liquor in there too. She may have mixed in her drinking as well as the stakeout situation.
Well, that explains why she was so zonked out. Yeah, she was drunk as fuck. Yeah. Okay. Well, that actually makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. But this is where we end. This will happen a few times where it's like a scene that you're really into and really invested in. The movie's like, title card of another character's name. Like, here we go.
Okay, now we can start talking about when I was starting to think like, God, okay. This is when I started getting kind of tired of this structure. It started dawning on me. It's like, okay, it's gonna start doing this, where it's gonna start going from one character to another, and it's just. Okay, this is why I started feeling like this was too heavy-handed. I don't know. I started getting a feeling like, okay, anyway.
I just don't see it done, and so it's very unique. It's like it brings you, because it starts real slow every time. Like with Justine, it's like, this is normal. We're at a PTA meeting, and so you're all the way in the back of your seat. And then by this point in the scene, you're on the edge of your seat, and then it's like, but you just like, you took it away from me, and now we're on to something else. And so it...
Yeah, and I just... we can talk... Perhaps at the end, let's discuss if this has some logic to it, or if it leads to a payoff. I remember, and like just watching it the second time, I remember feeling this like it deflated the tension. Why? There's so much great tension there, and then like all of a sudden, like a tension canceler. Like
it seems to not want to tip its hand all at once. Is what I'll say. Like,
sure, I mean, I don't know. Like there are plenty of reasons for it, and I just didn't feel it. Anyway, we'll come back on this because I groused about this every time anyway, to myself. Like
anyway. we get a title card of Archer on screen, and we find that Archer is the man from the school conference earlier, played by Josh Brolin.
Yeah. Or we can assume that's the first name of this man, and we find him in what we can assume is his missing son's bed.
Yeah.
And it's a heartbreaking scene, right? It's a grieving father who just cannot let this go, and it's just, this is the most immediate way to have proximity to his missing child. Is sleeping on his actual bed.
Sleeping in his son's bed. Probably didn't even wash the sheets or something. Just trying to hang on to any scent or like thing or memory of the kid at this point.
So.
And I mean, it's also a sad scene because, I mean, as he's like sort of waking up, his wife somewhat coldly like peeks in and is like, I'm going to work. Like,
just like they're just emotionally broken and just exhausted, and like they're both running on empty. is the feeling.
Yeah.
It gave to me.
There's no cheerful like, oh, bye honey, like I'm going to work. It's just like they are drained by this.
I'm going to go function for today and I'll be back. And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very real thing in that moment,
Sure.
and so it's all of this is understandable. But Archer is an interesting character because he is just sort of being driven crazy by this in a way where some people have almost resigned themselves or moved on. You can imagine some of the parents, these other kids maybe have multiple kids, but it seems like this was their one. This was Matthew as the kid, and it seems like their son.
Yeah, we don't see. Yeah, we don't see any evidence of other kids, so only child, and so it makes it even just worse. Not that losing a child when you have multiple children is any easier, but you can imagine the reason why just perhaps so fixated, just so intensely fixated.
Mm-hmm.
Why it was maybe a more totalizing loss. So sure.
Yeah, and we see, he's not given up on this, essentially, because the first thing we see him do in the morning before he goes to work is reviewing the Ring camera footage repeatedly, where it's showing his son Matthew bolting off into the night. And he doesn't seem to find anything new here, but he takes off for work. And it seems like he owns a construction company, but also we immediately find out he's dropping a few balls. Like he's not really keeping all the plates spinning with this current life upheaval of his own.
We see a sign. He goes to a site of a house being built, and there's a sign out there, Graff and Company. And as we're about to find out, that's his last name, Graff. So it's his construction company. Owner of it, the boss of it. He meets with what we can just guess is the foreman for the construction site, and it's just giving him a list of things that Archer has fucked up about this house. All kinds of things that he forgot to order for the house and to do and to set up for the house, and it's just a list of woe that they've had to correct at great expense. It sounds like, and so you just get a sense that Archer is not. He is not functioning at 100%.
No, not at all. And the one that really gets sort of carries forward in the story is he's like, hey, man, this was supposed to be a forest green door. You ordered red paint. And Archer's like, I fucked up. I'll return it and whatever. And so he ends up putting red paint in the back of his truck at this scene.
Yeah.
And you're like, what did we see with red paint going on in the story prior to this?
Exactly.
Especially when we also see him, yelling at Justine and stuff. So Archer takes off. He's got the paint in his back, but we next see him at the police station where he's following up on an investigation in an understood but not very appreciated way by the police chief that's explaining like, hey man, we're doing everything we can. And Archer's asking things like, well, what about the canine unit? I haven't heard anything from the canine unit in a while. And the police chief's like getting sassier because again, this seems to maybe happen every day. He's like, oh, that's because they don't report to you. It's like, oh.
Yeah, so
okay.
We get the impression that this police chief has had this conversation with a number of parents, probably most of all with this one parent. And like you mentioned, is sassing back a bit, but is professional, and we get the sense that there's some compassion about the man, right? That Archer would love to haul in Justine, just bring her in and just start questioning her, and just is convinced that she knows something, and the police chief just levels with him. What could she possibly know? Like all these kids were caught on camera.
Yeah, what do you know that I don't know?
How did she do it? Yeah, and it's just
He assures him multiple times, he's like, we're doing everything we can. He's like, I get why you're here. If it were my kid, goodness knows I'd be doing the same thing and such. And Archer pushes past all these sentiments and is like, well, did you know she had a DUI? Did you know she was let go at her last school for inappropriate conduct? And the police chief calmly is like, yes, but that was with another faculty member. Like, that wasn't with a kid here. And so he's very convinced it's her. And it's just, the police chief's like, if you have something, let me know. But otherwise, she seems innocent. We've talked to her. We know this. Like, it just isn't. What could she have done? These children left of their own accord. What could Miss Gandy have done to make them leave at 2:17 and such?
Yeah, and again, just the element of the kids being recorded on camera, something that you would think would dispel the mystery, but just in fact creates more mystery. And it's great, like the use of surveillance technology to in fact create doubt and mystery. as opposed to clarifying anything. Great. One of the elements I actually liked in the film for, it just, I know I at the beginning, I had mixed feelings about the film. There are some things I liked about it. And again, this is something I always appreciate when technology is actually used to further horror and not try to be a counter to it or so.
And they use darkness well, because the children sprint off in the darkness. There's a lot of darkened doorways in this. There are many scenes that they adjust or mess with the light in, depending on stuff, especially in the Alex chapter we'll talk about. But now we're back at the school meeting from Archer's perspective on this, because we're going to get several of these scenes where it's like the same scene we've sort of seen, which is the stupid sentence I just said, but it's from a different perspective, because we jump around these characters. And so we now see, as Justine was being ushered out to her car, Archer doesn't follow her on foot like the rest of these sort of angry mob of parents, but he calmly goes straight to his truck to tail her that way. And this is the truck that Justine clocked at the liquor store, because we get from his shot and perspective in the truck, we see her make her way across the liquor store, and then right after that, we see her do her little hurried run to the front door, because he followed her all the way home.
Yeah. We see the red paint in the back of his truck too, so... Yeah, it's almost certainly he did it. He tagged Witch on her car. Yeah.
It's funny that they don't show it for sure, because they just as he's sitting out there, watching her fuming essentially, the camera pans to the red paint again in the back of his car, and then we just swap scenes. We just move on, and it's he did this pretty much without really, saying it at all. So,
which I don't know, why not just show him do it? It would just
interesting.
It would flesh the character out. It would show this very desperate, crazed, grieving parent doing something that expresses this. Why cut that?
Maybe it's goofy. Can you imagine Josh Brolin running up and pounding on the door and then hiding in a bush afterwards, though, because the two door knocks.
Well, we have to imagine it because they didn't show it, and that's something I really quibbled about. This would flesh out the character in one way or another, and it's just why cut that. Anyway, why? I don't know. It's it seems like a cool gesture to just leave it implied that he did it, but it's also maybe not. I don't know. Maybe show it.
It's coy. It's very not of this current filmmaking age, because it's so not second screen. If you're playing your Steam Deck or you're on your iPad, you wouldn't catch this. It wouldn't be here I am painting on the car, saying things out loud like they make the Netflix people do, to be more second screen. And so it's interesting.
Sure, I guess it's both ways. Sure,
it's an older film tactic because of that. It's you got to pay attention a little bit at least to pick up on some of this. But we pick up with Archer because it goes away after that paint can linger, where now he is dreaming the night.
Yeah. It's again, it's kind of it's a moment where you don't immediately know if he's dreaming, right? He's back at home. He's in his son's bed like we've seen before. He wakes up with a start, something startled him awake, and we see on the clock that it's 2:17 a.m., which is, of course, a very significant time in this film. He gets out of bed, and then he turns back, and he sees himself in bed still sleeping. So it's kind of a nice, oh, wait, I am in a dream. Where a character, again, kind of like Justine earlier, has a moment where just for a moment, they have a realization that they're kind of awaking, dreaming, they're in a meaningful dreamscape, and they're kind of aware of it on some level, And
it's the same murky darkness sort of lighting going on. They're doing this little dreamscape.
It's kind of a murky night as opposed to just simple nightscape. Yeah. But he calls out Matthew. He runs downstairs. He runs outside and he sees Matthew running outside, and he chases after him. Runs through a bush, a thicket, and loses sight of Matthew, and keeps going through it, and emerges back in front of his own house. So kind of seeing himself asleep in bed, he's kind of looping back on himself in his own dream again. And he emerges in front of his house, and then sees Matthew running towards the house, kind of in a disconnected way, he lost sight of him, and then Matthew suddenly emerged again, running in front of him, up in the distance. So again, just kind of looping back on his own self and his own dream.
And then right after this happens, probably one of the most divisive elements of the film, or the one that people just can't put their finger on, is that this giant like cloud in the sky sort of starts to form into a very clear picture of an assault rifle up there.
Yeah. So we get this image is this large. It's an image of an assault rifle. It's large. It's floating above the house in the sky, in the air, seemingly so. And then as it's doing that, we see becoming emblazoned on the butt of the rifle the time, 2:17, and in a numerical font that's reminiscent of an old analog alarm clock, right? Or like an old digital alarm clock, but like with like the very old-fashioned digital, where it's the
eights.
You see all the lines in the numbers, right? It's a very stylized numerical font, right? And so it immediately reads alarm clock, and that's emblazoned on the butt of the rifle, and I still haven't figured out what exactly this means, even on the second viewing now that it's streaming.
I don't know either, really. And I mean, I looked up stuff on this to like see people's discussions essentially, and even the director's like, I don't know, like interpret that how you will to a point. And this is the one thing I would point out that like could probably have been taken out to me. But, maybe this is just what straight guys dream of. Like, he's a very masculine man. Maybe he's just like, I just dream of assault rifles popping up in the sky.
But we have the straightest moment of the film, for sure. I guess we've already figured that one out.
Maybe. And he's a very straight name, too. Just Archer Graff. Graff, like, is such a...
Dreaming of guns floating in the sky.
Like,
that have on them all the answers he needs.
Like Hunter Masculine, just like Archer Graff. And so, I mean, we see this character.
All the heterosexuals in the audience, do you dream of guns? Please let us know. I love to find this out.
Just cargo shorts and assault rifles in the dreamscape.
We need data on this, please.
So he recovers from this. He's kind of like, well, that's fucking weird, and like goes up into the house. And he sees a draped, breathing figure in blankets, and come to find out, it's Matthew. It's his son as he rolls over. But Matthew has very like dead eyes in this, and it's just kind of like,
and the room is different. It's not Matthew's room. It's Alex's room in his house, but it has Matthew's Batman sheets on the bed, and so things are getting mixed up. Like it looked like it was his house from the outside, but now that he's in it, it doesn't seem like it. It seems it's Alex's house, but with this one element of his son there, which is of course significant, right? And so he approaches what seems like someone sleeping on the bed, calls out to him, turns him over, and it's a child. I honestly couldn't really tell who. Like it seemed like it.
He recognizes him as Matthew, but Matthew's main character, or like most recognizable character trait from a distance, is his long hair. And because he's like wrapped up in a cocoon of blanket, it just doesn't read as that to a point. So,
and I'm wondering if that was on purpose, like to confuse Matthew with Alex, like to make them look like each other potentially, like
maybe because I mean, every other time we see Matthew, that's his big thing. He's like long hair and such. But
the room is Alex's, but the sheets are Matthew's, and so
But Archer seems to recognize him as him, so I mean, I'll take his word for it and whatnot. But I mean, his son's just staring at him with like dead eyes, and he's really desperate to sort of get anything from him because he misses and loves this kid to a degree. But as we find out, as he starts to sort of flex his acting chops here, he may not have told him it, because he starts and stops a couple times. This is probably the best bit of acting I saw Josh Brolin do in this movie.
Sure.
And he's trying to say he's sorry he couldn't save him. I'm sorry I couldn't. And then he stops and he's like, I'm sorry I couldn't save. And then he moves on to sort of say like, I wish I would have said it more to you. I wish I would have said it. Like, I always wanted to say it. I felt it in me all the time. And it just kind of reveals without fully revealing that he didn't say he loved his son. And it causes even more, or I mean, it even informs more of his character and why he has such deep regret and pain about this loss, is that he probably thought he had all the time in the world to fix this. Yeah. And he didn't ultimately.
It's a painful moment, from a grieving father, for sure. And he's in the midst of it, and he's really feeling the scene, and Archer's really caught up in it, and then it's like a spotlight or like a big heavy flashlight shines where the kid's face should be.
Well, right as he says he's getting to this, he says, "I love you so much." And then that's when the light hits, and it changes from Matthew's face to
what Justine saw in her dream on the ceiling, this crazy face in white face makeup and red smear on the lips, and just it's terrifying and comes out of nowhere, and Archer in fact wakes up for real this time and is just terrified and just like crawling out of the bed yelling, "What the fuck?"
He fucking scoots in the corner and just yells, "What the fuck?" Like, which is such a human and normal reaction to what just happened to him, to be like, all right, I'm dreaming, I'm sleeping.
There's a good peal of laughter from the audience in the theater at that moment.
Dead-eyed son, and then all of a sudden this terrifying cloud woman is here. There was a big old gun in the sky.
Yeah.
Just like, whenever you tell someone your dreams, you just sound like a crazy person and they're just humoring you. Like, I can't imagine him telling somebody that dream. It's like, man, I was just there, and there was Sky Gun, and then there was Matthew was there. But he turned into a clown lady, and his wife's like, I'm going to work. Like, so, yes, what the fuck? Like,
you and your Sky Gun. Jeez. Can I go a day without hearing about that? Anyway, so he's had a fitful night of no rest. It's morning. He's going to work. He's outside. He's heading for his car, and he's looking off in the distance at the trees, and he noticed between some trees there's an antenna. Like a
big cell tower.
A big cellular transmission tower off in the distance, and it just kind of we see that it's like kindling an idea in him, and he rushes back inside. He whips out a map of the neighborhood that, owning a construction company, it makes sense they do.
Right.
It's basically the basic layout of structures in the neighborhood, so houses, but also antenna towers as well. And so he starts, we can see that he's just trying to mark relevant data on this map and figure out some kind of relation between it. And so he notes that from his house to that antenna, he draws a line. He just draws a line. He's just like spitballing here, like ideas. Maybe there's a connection there.
Right. He's like, what if, I guess Matthew didn't change direction? Because he sees the direction he goes, and that's what sort of sparks the idea. And he's like, all right, if he was running this way the whole time, where might it lead?
Yeah. Also the dream, like he was running after Matthew through a bush, a thicket, and that's also where, if he was following that antenna, that's where he would go.
Right.
So he's correlating it just to glean any insight that he can.
It was a funny bit of writing just to be like, what would a man do to have access to this giant map of houses in the like city or whatever? Because you're like, I bet that came later, and like, this is just a sad dad, and you're like, all right, what can he do for a career to have access? Oh, got it. All right, good. Like,
you think the writing happened backward from that point where they realize, why does he have this map?
Probably, because otherwise it's like, we don't want to show a man having to go to City Hall and file an information request to get like a map of something, and like,
that's too boring. That sucks. Like, yeah.
It just occurred to me because for like a half a second I was like, why does he have? Oh, it's his job or whatever, and I was just like, I guess that's clever.
Construction
of a way to have that going on.
He'd have blueprints and layouts and sure.
And so he has a line on the map, but he clearly wants more information as we see him knock on the door of a house. And it's not immediately clear if this was a house like in the line or whatever, but it's not. It's one of the parents that also had a kid disappear and that also had a Ring camera.
Yeah.
And so he knocks on the door, and it's a woman that opens up the door, and he kind of chats with her. They don't seem to be on great terms for sure. Like,
get the sense that not only does she know him, but is over him. Like, this is we get just by context that this woman has a daughter named Bailey, and Bailey is one of the missing kids as well, and we can guess that that's how Archer and this woman know each other. Just the group of grieving parents, and she seems very off put by him, kind of exhausted of him already. So from just what we've seen of Archer, we can get the sense that he's exhausted people in this town. Perhaps understandably, but has exhausted them.
He seems abrasive as a character, like perhaps even at the best of times. And so maybe she didn't even like him before this, but yeah, is
grieving herself and just can't deal with this guy.
Totally.
So,
she's actually played by Sarah Paxton, who is the wife of Zach Kreger in this, interestingly.
Oh, okay. Well,
but Archer asks her to see the footage of the ring cam that caught Bailey leaving the house. And she says she's not comfortable with that. And he kind of is like, I understand. Okay. And goes to leave, we think. But instead of leaving, stakes out the house in his truck. And in a very, toxic masculinity way, waits until the husband comes home and then asks him to see the camera. And this husband happens to be played by Justin Long, a fun horror movie alumni across a lot of franchises and films like Tusk or Goosebumps or Jeepers Creepers, but also was in Barbarians in the last film of Kreger's.
Nothing bad happens to him in this film. Maybe unlike various other films that Justin Long has been in. And if you haven't seen these films, I don't want to give anything away because, oh God, I was just waiting for something terrible to happen to Justin Long in this film, and it didn't. And oh God, you'll understand if you watch Barbarian and Tusk, and I won't say anything
else. A lot of films, I feel like, with him. Yeah, I mean, he's got fun things here and there, like starring in Dodgeball, but he just is like a martyr in many of these situations. But he's just such a fun character and actor too, he also has a vibe of he kind of flinches at Archer, recoils a bit, maybe Archer's kind of bullied him to a degree, or maybe they just both agree and they talk shit on Archer in the house. They're like, man, fuck that guy, right?
I get the feeling that he recognized Archer as another grieving parent. And it just kind of reminds him of his own grief too, to have to talk about this again and relate to this person for this reason, But Archer, very slyly, the wife rebuffs him, but the husband is more amenable and charms him. And by that way is able to access the footage.
It gets to him in the driveway before he gets inside and talks to the wife. And so it's so funny of a scene because as he's watching the ring footage with Father Justin Long, the wife is just sitting there, arms crossed in the background, just clearly pissed at this situation.
Just glowering at him the entire time. It's a humorous setup for sure. But yes, they're going over the footage of Bailey from their doorbell camera, and from this, Archer's able to glean an important bit of insight. She runs off, but she does have a particular trajectory, right? It's maybe not random how she ran out. It's maybe actually in a very specific direction, and so he's thinking, okay, let's draw another line. Let's see if we can, intersect this.
He gets another data point here. And so it does make a sort of X because they live in two different parts of town. Yeah. And so he now has perhaps an area to be searching in.
Yeah.
And so on his way to investigate this, though, where he's driving around kind of looking at his houses and stuff, he sees Miss Gandy turn into a gas station. Very clearly her, because it has witch on the side. And so
so why no one at the school noticed that she was stalking Alex? I don't know. He saw her from some distance away driving in the other direction, and then pulled into the gas station where she's filling up her tank. So I don't know.
Maybe a lot of people just don't know that she's driving a witch-mobile right now, but he sure does because he put it there. And so he's like,
Also the reason he might notice.
That witch.
Yeah.
So at that point, he decides, you know what, I'm just going to turn to this gas station too and go confront her because what's the worst that could happen? And he does that. He confronts her and insinuates that she's the problem while interrogating her. And Justine is pushing back a good bit. She's like, what the fuck, man? I'm sad too. Don't yell at me.
Which, again, understandable. She's probably been confronted like this a few times. Maybe by this one person, too, before. He seems like a confrontational type. Was kind of the leader of the rowdy crowd at the town hall meeting. So, one could imagine that she would naturally feel very threatened by this for sure, accuses him of threatening her, and he immediately gets defensive about this, and is in an objective sense, yes, is clearly threatening her with his presence and his attitude and belligerence. But the way that he's trying to explain it is that she's the problem. Like it's like he's trying to say that she's at the center of the problem, but maybe is not the cause. Like he's trying to like fumble for what her relevance is. You know, like I get the feeling like he's like processing this and is like trying to like explain, and is just doing a terrible job with it.
Yeah, and it's a scene where tensions are very high already, but then as she's being yelled at, Justine catches sight of something in the distance where there is a man now running like the children were running with the little AAV arms out. And it's Marcus the principal, actually, looking real bloody and disheveled, coming right at her.
Yeah, this is where we get our first... Like the scene of Justine passed out in her car and the hair snip. You know, that's a weird scene. That's a really weird scene. And now we're getting our second dose of like true weirdness. You know, there's this mystery that's happening. Now we get like another dose of just like, what the fuck? Like in your face weirdness. In broad daylight, well, at night, but like kind of out in the open, and this time just in broad daylight.
This is in the daytime,
which just makes it even more shocking. But yeah, it's someone in the distance running at her Naruto style, like we've seen the kids. But this guy looks, even at a distance, just there's something crazy about this guy. He's like got blood on his face, like black something on his lips, right? His eyes are just bugged out,
bulging
like crazy. And the more that he's running fast towards him, and the closer he gets, we start understanding, wait, this is the principal? Like, this looks like the principal. What? Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
right?
how could this have happened to him? But as he gets close, we see it is Marcus. He shoves Archer out of the way and then tackles Justine and just starts to choke her.
Yeah, and it's just like rabid. Like a rabid animal. He's like snarling and is like grasping at her throat, trying to strangle her to the death, it would appear. And it's just wild. Just wild. And this is the protective, calm, professional principal that we've seen interactions with before. And so it just could not be any more different from this character, at least as we have known this person. So
a calm, rational man now being animalistic. And so Archer tries to be like, hey, stop choking her. And then he like reverse headbutts him, just whips his head back and gets him off. And Justine does in that moment get a little free and starts to run into the convenience store. And as she's running, Archer kind of like, it's weird because Marcus starts crawling like under the car at Justine. Like it's a weird thing to do for sure.
Yeah, he is fixated on Justine in a way that seems like animalistic again. Like he's making odd tactical decisions because he's not making tactical decisions. He's a wild animal that's fixated on his quarry, you know, and is almost kind of ignoring Archer. He's kind of in his way, isn't acknowledging him when he doesn't have to, and it's just like a magnet going after Justine, even if it's drawing him under a car.
So, exactly. Yeah. And it's only when Justine makes it into the convenience store and Archer really starts to like get in his way of this goal that Marcus starts to like choke him, and then we are ripped right out of the scene again where it's like this is another, it's like, oh, this scene's crazy, what's gonna happen? Oh, it's over. Like
jeez, just audience blue balls here, just kind of gooning you for a bit and then putting you on ice. Like, God damn it, really? Okay, well, that wraps up part 1 of our review of Weapons, and we still have a lot to talk about. We both have some very strong opinions about this film. A great film, for sure. But stay tuned for part 2 coming up next.